I'm sure I'm a bit late to the party to be showing everybody this assortment of heat shrink terminal connectors. I've seen them for a while now on eBay, but I didn't go ahead and buy them initially because I just didn't think I'd be using them. I would say 99% of the stuff I do is at my bench. I have everything here, so even if I'm at a friend's house, if they've got something that needs fixing, I'll bring it here. I have things like the microscope camera and the solder station, etc., etc. So I don't believe I'm going to be really utilizing these. But then I have to remind myself that I have bought thousands of other items that I'm probably never going to use anyway. But there is a bit of a surprise with this one, in a good way, which I wasn't expecting. I'll come to that in a minute. Essentially, these are for joining wires. They're a heat shrink tubing. You're probably more familiar with the black stuff that you just put over a cable and use a bit of heat, whether it's a lighter, hot air gun, or whatever, and then that shrinks, forming a seal over it. I have both versions where it's just the normal stuff and the other one with the adhesive inside to help with stopping water ingress. So you have three components to this connector. The first one is the clear heat shrink tubing that will shrink around the cable. There's different gauges for the wires that you might be using. I'm not sure what you'd do with this one because I think anything high voltage or of this size, to be honest, you better get your solder iron sorted out with your solder and do it properly. These will do an adequate job. Temporary or permanent, I leave that up to you, but they will do an adequate job. My personal beef with these, there's not enough solder. If I was doing this at my bench, I would use quite a bit of solder to make sure the connection is absolutely solid. This stuff isn't going to be able to do that because there's not enough of it. If you're using a copper cable, you'll probably coat the outside and maybe one or two strands below that, but you're certainly not going to get the coverage you would be used to. Before I forget, if you're interested in buying these, there is a little bit of advice I would give, and that is make sure you read the description. I bought a kit here which has 150 pieces in it. I have, however, seen other kits, be it 300, 400 pieces and 500 pieces, but they're shoving in, like, for example, your 500 piece kits, they're putting in this black heat shrink tubing, 300 and 350 pieces into that 500 kit. So you're not actually getting 500 pieces of whatever you think you're getting. So when you do buy one of these, make sure you know whether it's coming with the majority of this heat shrink. I have loads of this stuff, and I certainly didn't need any more. It was them that I was interested in, not that. But as I said, some people, they might think they're buying 500 of it, and then they get it through the post and realize there's 350 pieces of this stuff. It's a bit unfair the way that they've done the advertising, so you do have to be careful. The only time I can really see me using these is if I am outside and I don't have access to mains power to put on the solder iron. Maybe, it's one of these things that'll probably be in a bag in the car somewhere. I mean, many years ago, I think the only thing I bought to help with being outside or away from the mains, I bought a gas solder iron, and as I said, I think it was about 15 years ago, and this weren't cheap. This was about £45 back then. But since then, technology has improved, and you can get quite cheap 5-volt powered solder irons that run on battery packs like these or whatever else you may have. And they do quite a good job, to be fair. I say before, there was a nice little surprise with this sort of stuff. There's three components. The heat shrink tubing itself, which will shrink around the cable. You've also got hot melt rings either side, which will hopefully stop the ingress of water. And then you've got the solder. Now this is the surprise, I didn't realize this. That solder isn't normal solder, it's actually low melt solder. And anybody who buys this stuff will realize it is expensive. A few videos back, I did a little bit on low melt solder, and that little tube that I had, I think it contained 9 pieces, about 6 inches long, and it was nearly 50 quid. Absolutely incredible. So I was not expecting this stuff to be low melt solder. The problem with it, you don't get really enough to do a decent job. It's an adequate job. But as I said, when you come to high voltage stuff, I wouldn't be using this stuff. But let me give you a quick demonstration on what it does. Demonstration time. You got your 2 bits of wire. You squish and squish and squish. Slide over the... Oh, you don't want any of the careless whispers coming out. Oh, it's all going to cock. Right, in you go, you bugger. Oh, that'll do. It's on your demo. Right. Now we hit it with hot air. Now, if you've got a lighter, you'll probably use the lighter, or if you've got hot air or whatever you've got, obviously the heat shrink will shrink around the cable. The hot melt rings will seal, and in a second we should see the solder start to melt. Let me just turn it around. It's certainly melting okay. Oh, you can't see it there, it's going out a bit. It has done an okay job. Just put that down, let that cool. And in a moment, when I say it does an adequate job, certainly the outer strands, I just can't get that to focus. Certainly the outer strands will get coated, but it's the inner part that you'll find it won't coat. So I'll cut this open and just show you what I mean. Just for completeness, I can't pull this open. I was about to cut it open and then realised I've not really shown you. That is solid. Yeah, you're not going to be getting that open anytime soon with your fingers. Let me grab a crappy pair of snips and see what's inside. So I think you can see, even though it's been squished a bit on the side, which has brought the solder, I can't get this in focus. You can see that it's certainly done the outside strands, but the inside, obviously, it's just not done it. So when I say it does an adequate job, yeah, you can probably be happy with it. Certainly, again, not on the high voltage stuff. Permanent, temporary, it's up to you.